I'm Alana Smith. Perseverance, by definition, is holding on to a course of action, belief, or purpose without giving way. But to me, it means a totally different thing. When I was a baby, I was perfectly healthy, but when I turned age 6, things started to change. I was born October 30th, 1991 in Bismarck, North Dakota at St. Alexis Medical Center to Harry and Debbie Smith. I had a sister that was 3 at the time, and I weighed 7 pounds 1 ounce, and I was known to be a perfectly healthy baby. I lived in Bismarck for the first 2 years of my life until I moved to Wilton, where my mom grew up. Both my parents worked in Bismarck, so I stayed with my grandma during the day. My grandma not only was my grandma, she was my second mom and my best friend. I did everything with her, and I still do today. My first 4 years in Wilton were very good years. I was a normal kid, I made friends, I had great parents, I had an older sister, and then I started kindergarten in the fall of '97, and things started to change. I did well in school besides when I was sick. I had stomach aches a lot. My parents took me to the hospital, but the doctor said not to worry, and that it was just kid problems. I then entered my upper years of grade school, and I started to gain interest in sports. I liked football a lot, so I played football at recess with the guys instead of Barbies. I got a dog in the spring of '98, and we named her Tiny. She's an Alaskan Husky. She has blue eyes, white and black hair, and a very bubbly personality. Then my 6th grade year, I got the privilege of playing junior high basketball. And then my 7th grade year, still being a tomboy, I played football. I was quarterback and outside linebacker, and I really liked it. Then, my 8th grade year, the turning point of my life came. I started to play high school basketball my 8th grade year, and while at a game, I got sick. I started to vomit, and I could not keep anything down, and I had very severe stomach pains. My mom decided to take me home, but as we were driving home, she asked me if I would like to go home or to the hospital. I replied that I wanted to go home because every time we went to the hospital, the doctors would either tell me I'm just stressed, or it's all in my head, or it's menstrual cramps, or I'm anorexic. My mom, on the other hand, thought we should go, so we did. Arriving at the ER, I was still vomiting, and Dr. Langang, who was my hero, was assigned to my case. He did a CAT scan, and he actually believed me that something was wrong. The CAT scan showed him what it should have shown every other doctor that I had seen before. My stomach was the size of a football, and I had a blockage in my small intestine. This would explain why I had severe vomiting and stomach pain. He then went on to explain that if we wouldn't have came in that day, I would have died. I was in shock, and I was sick, and I needed help. And I put my life in the hands of a surgeon that had never heard of my problem before. We then began to ask the doctors and surgeon why this happened, and they explained to us it was because I grew too fast. And a flap of skin, and then my superior mesenteric artery clenched my small intestine, causing a blockage. And this, they called it superior mesenteric artery syndrome. So then we asked, how do we fix this? And they said, surgery. That whole night, waiting for surgery the next day, I laid in bed in the hospital, wondering, why me? Or why is this happening? I'm too young to die. The next day, I had surgery, and they did an intestinal bypass, and everything went well. I went home a week later. A week after my first surgery, I was back into basketball, cheering on my team, and then I got sick again. 2 weeks after my first surgery, I had to go back to the hospital, and I had another blockage in my colon. This time they explained that it was because I healed too fast, and scar tissue blocked off my colon this time. I had surgery again, but this time it went well also, but I only went home 10 days after surgery this time. Next, I had taken it a lot easier this time at home, and I stayed home a month before going back to school. But basketball was a different story. I was really determined to play in the basketball regional tournament that was scheduled 5 weeks after my second surgery. No one really believed I could do it, but I did. I thought I had overcome all I could for a while, but then that brought the halfway through my freshman year when I started to experience stomach pains again. Struggling through basketball, doctors could not figure out what was wrong with me. They thought it possibly could be my gallbladder, so they scheduled to take that out in November of my sophomore year, which happened to be during volleyball regionals. This did not help, and I continued to have stomach pains. I was finally admitted to the hospital in March of my sophomore year, and they found something new. I had pancreatitis, which meant that the enzymes in your pancreas were really elevated. They tested me and tested me for everything possible, but they couldn't find out what it was. They then referred me to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and they again tested me for anything possible, but they still could not find anything that was causing my pancreatitis. They did find, though, that I had autonomic dysfunction in POTS, which was a contraction of the blood vessels and really bad blood circulation. This would explain why I was always cold, I had dizziness, and why I got a lot of headaches. These pains continued through my junior year and still to now. I have learned to control them, but I have since been in the hospital 2 times. I am awaiting my next appointment in Mayo in November, and I hope that they can find out what is wrong this time. I would like to go back to the first question I asked myself, and that was, why me? I've had many answers to this question, but my personal favorite is because. There's no rhyme or reason to why things happen. You just have to learn from it, live with it, and move on. I am currently 17 years old, and I live with my mom and dad in Wilton. My dad owns his own electronic monitoring business, and my mom is an IT specialist at Northern Plains Lab. My sister is 20 years old, and she is attending Minnesota State University Moorhead to major in speech pathology. Despite all my problems, I have been able to maintain a 3.93 GPA, be a waitress, be involved in basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, band, choir, student council, German club, and church group. This last summer, I got the experience to travel to Germany, Austria, and Denmark for a month, and it was the best experience of my life. After high school, I plan on attending University of North Dakota to major in pre-med and minor in teaching. I want to help people just like they have helped me. Now back to my definition of perseverance. Never letting something get in your way, not quitting, pushing till the end, no matter what the outcome.
That was very good.